You press a button. The system finds 9 strangers. A match begins. You don't know where they're from, you don't know their history. You don't even choose the server. The algorithm decides. And within seconds you're competing. This feels normal now, but multiplayer didn't always work this way. So, when did games stop being places we joined and start becoming systems that sorted us? Before matchmaking, multiplayer was manual. You opened the server browser. Hundreds of names appeared. Some were private, some were chaotic, some had strange rule sets. You chose where to play. That choice mattered. Server built identities. Communities formed around specific spaces. You recognized player names. You returned to the same places. Multiplayer felt like entering a room, not entering a queue. But manual systems had limits. Skill gaps were uneven. New players were crushed quickly. Finding balanced matches required trial and error. And as multiplayer grew beyond small communities, scale became a problem. How do you connect millions of players fairly? How do you reduce frustration? How do you increase retention? That question reshaped multiplayer forever. The solution began with numbers. Hidden at first, then visible. Skill ratings. The concept wasn't new. Chess used elo systems for decades. But applying rating systems to real-time online games changed everything. Instead of joining a space, you were placed. Matched against players with similar performance. On paper, it was logical. Fairer games, closer matches, reduced blowouts. And for many players, this felt better. You won more often. You improved gradually. But something subtle shifted. Competition became measured, quantified, optimized. Your identity wasn't your reputation on a server. It was your rank. Bronze, silver, diamond. The number replaced the name. Matchmaking didn't just burn a skill. It standardized experience. And that standardization would reshape design itself. Manual server browsing required effort. Matchmaking required one button. And convenience is powerful. Especially as consoles entered online multiplayer at scale. Systems like Xbox Live normalized automated matchmaking. You didn't need to understand networking. You didn't need to choose regions. You didn't need to search. You clicked. The system handled the rest. Accessibility expanded massively. Millions joined multiplayer who never would have touched a server browser. This was progress. But progress always has trade-offs. When players stop choosing spaces, they stop building them. Community servers faded. Custom rule sets became rare. The experience became unified, controlled. Multiplayer transformed from a network of rooms into a centralized service. And services operate differently than communities. They optimize for retention, not identity. Matchmaking solved fairness, but it also created new possibilities. Once players were in a controlled system, designers could track everything. Win rate, playtime, engagement cycles, drop-off points. Multiplayer was no longer just competition, it became data. And data enabled optimization. Seasonal resets kept players returning. Ranked tiers created long-term goals. XP systems layered progression on top of skill. Now you weren't just playing to win, you were playing to climb, to unlock, to maintain status. The match became part of a larger loop. Queue, compete, earn, repeat. This increased retention dramatically, but it also shifted motivation. In early multiplayer, you played to dominate a space. Now you played to maintain position in a system. Subtle difference, major impact. Matchmaking created balanced games. But perfectly balanced games produce a pattern. Win, loss, a steady 50%. For many players this feels fair. For others it feels controlled. The algorithm aims for equilibrium. And equilibrium can feel repetitive. You are rarely the strongest in the lobby. Rarely the weakest. Always somewhere near your assigned level. This reduces extreme experiences. But extreme experiences create stories. The crushing defeat, the overwhelming dominance. Matchmaking smooths those edges. It creates consistency. Consistency improves retention. But it can reduce variance. And variance is where emotion lives. So the question emerges, Did matchmaking make multiplayer better, or simply more sustainable? As matchmaking stabilized competition, game design adapted. Arena shooters relied on open skill expression. Modern games introduced controlled variables, loadouts, abilities, roles, team compositions. These systems add depth, but they also help balance matchmaking outcomes. If pure mechanical skill creates too wide a gap, design can narrow it. More accessibility, more predictability. Matchmaking and game design begin reinforcing each other. The system wasn't just placing players, it was shaping the kind of skill that mattered. Raw aim gave way to coordinated execution. Map control gave way to objective play. Individual dominance became harder to sustain. Not impossible, but structured. Competition became organized, layered, managed, and algorithms stood at the center. Matchmaking expanded multiplayer globally. It made games accessible, introduced entry barriers. It enabled esports at scale. These are real gains, but something was traded. Player-run communities faded. Server cultures dissolved. Identities shifted from local recognition to global ranking. You can log in at any hour, find a match instantly, compete with strangers. That's efficient. But efficiency isn't intimacy. Matchmaking didn't destroy multiplayer, it industrialized it. And industrial systems prioritize stability, not personality. You press a button. The system finds your opponent. It feels seamless, effortless, inevitable. But multiplayer once required navigation, choice, search, community memory. Matchmaking solved fairness, it solved scale, it solved frustration. But it also centralized control. Today, multiplayer is a managed ecosystem. Balanced, measured, optimized. And maybe that was necessary, because millions cannot coordinate manually. But it's worth remembering that before the algorithm sorted us, we chose where we played. We chose who we stayed with. We built small spaces inside larger networks. Now we enter systems designed for us. The question isn't whether matchmaking was good or bad, it's whether we understand what changed. You press a button, a match begins. And somewhere in that simplicity, an entire era quietly shifted. New case files release every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.